and everyone is able to see my screen. A warm welcome to again second demo session related to Spring Boot and microservices. Okay, so I have given you a Hangouts group link in the Zoom chat wherever I am talking here. Okay, now how Spring is solving this problem? Okay, seems there is a problem here. Just now, I hope everyone is able to see my screen now. Maybe. Okay. So whatever the code I wrote here is order service is equal to new order service. This is the code we are going to write, and ORD service is created by the developer. And once order is placed, ORD service dot place order when I pass cart object. Okay. Finally, if developer is going to write finally block with order service as null, then only this order service will be collected by the garbage collection algorithm. Otherwise, it will not collected by the garbage collection algorithm at all. Understand? This is the typical explanation of poor performance in the given framework of EJB and RMI. Now, how Spring is solving this particular problem? What Spring is solving this particular problem is, by default, Spring is uses internally IOC, which is called as IOC stands for inversion of control. What do you mean by IOC? IOC stands for inversion of control. Means, what do you mean by inversion of control? Opposite to. Inverse means opposite, right? Opposite of control. Whenever we want to create an object in EJB RMI, who should write a new keyword? New keyword should be written by developer. Like right. Order service is equal to ORD service is equal to new keyword. Who is writing this new keyword? A developer is going to write this keyword in old framework. Our EJB and RMI, I am referring to old framework. With respect to IOC, IOC stands for inversion of control, opposite to of control, opposite of that control, where rather than developer, framework will create. Like what exactly it is going to write? ORDR service is equal to ORD service is equal to IOC dot get order service. It is going to managed by the framework only. IOC dot get order service. I am not writing any new keyword. Then object creation, object management, object destruction. Total 3 activities: creation of the object, managing the object in the, everything will be taken care by the framework only. You no need to worry about that. That kind of principle is called as inversion of control. So Spring is introducing a design pattern which is called as inversion of control design pattern. Okay, Spring is introducing a pattern called as inversion of control design pattern, where you no need to create objects. Framework will create an object for us. And also it is using the principles of dependency injection. Dependency injection. What do you mean by dependency injection? Is nothing but, okay, for example, I have order class. Okay, assuming that I have order class. Okay, what piece of code I am going to write in order class? Okay, assuming that public class order Okay, public class order, right? Here I am going to have customer object, right? For every order it should be a customer, right? So private customer object, customer, private list of products, which is products, private inventory, inventory object, private discount, discount object, private payment, payment object, private review, review object, private return, return object. By default, a order contains these many dependencies. If I want an order object to be created, you need to have a customer object, you need to have a products object, more than one product, right? You need to have an inventory object, you need to have a discount object, you need to have a payment object, you need to have a review object, you need to have a return object. So in traditional world, what you are going to write a code, what I am going to write here, customer, customer is equal to new customer. By default, order is equal to new order, right? I'm going to write order is equal to new order, right? Now I'm going to set it order dot set customer, which is equal to customer. Am I right, guys? And also I'm going to take care of inventory. Inventory inv is equal to new inventory, where set inventory is equal to inv. Like that, we are going to write all classes here. We are going to write all the classes manually. Now we need to garbage not only order class, we need to garbage customer class, we need to garbage products class, we need to garbage inventory class, we need to focus on discount, payment, review, and return. This is for one customer. If I have 1 lakh customers, how many objects will be piled up? A lot of objects will be piled up, right, guys? So that is how, where it is using a concept called as dependency injection. If you tell that my order object is depending on these classes, framework only internally creates. You no need to worry about that. So Spring is creating an IOC, which is called as inversion of control container. Okay, inversion of control container, which is going to take care of that. With inversion of control, it is going to have dependency injection, where it will load all the dependencies and it will load the main dependency and it will create it, it will manage it, it will destroy it. Completely framework is going to take care of object creations, object management, object destruction. That is the first point which I want to focus. Okay. By default, let me zoom it, guys. One second, guys. Okay, somehow there is a problem in my Zoom. Okay, right. This is the point with respect to performance related aspect, which I'm going to find. Okay, right. This is the first and important limitation of EJB as well as RMI, and how is Spring is solving this particular problem. So where we were able to discuss inversion of control, where we were able to discuss dependency injection, where we were able to discuss how IOC is helping. Like IOC stands for inversion of control. What do you mean by inversion of control? Rather than framework, rather than developer managing the object, rather than developer is destructing the object. It's completely framework. Spring framework is going to create it, is going to manage it, he is going to destroy it using dependency injection principle. What is a dependency injection? A class, whenever you want to create a main class, it has some dependencies. So dependency injection principle is going to inject all the dependencies before main object is getting injected. That is a typical point where we want to focus on the performance related issue. Once Spring came into picture, we never get Java dot long dot out of memory exception. When EJB 3.0 is launched, Spring 1.0 is launched. When Spring is proven, now completely EJB is gone. Okay. And lot of people shifted to Java. After Spring came into picture, the real life of Java, the real scope of Java, lot of people, lot of products are migrated to Java after Spring is getting introduced. Spring changed the complete picture of Java. Like our main hero, Rajamouli, right, sir? Triple R. I mean, Rajamouli, right? How he changed the our Indian, especially Tollywood, how he exposed the talent of in South India, right? Till that time, no one knows, right? That's how. Same. Before Spring, no one cares about Java. Before Rajamouli creates a Bahubali movie, no one cared about South India. After he's shown the talent, then everyone is, oh, there is a people are there, talented people are there. In the similar way, once Spring came into picture, internally everyone started thinking about Spring, everyone customized to use Spring, and everyone using. That is the main importance of the Spring. This is the first point which I want to focus here. Okay. Thank you. Next point is related to transaction management. The next limitation, framework level support for transaction management. Okay. For example, sir, what is a transaction management means? I'm going to give an example. Okay. What is the scenario I'm talking is, assuming that I'm going to ATM mission, sir. Okay. Assuming that I'm going to ATM mission, my account balance is 20,000 rupees. If the US customer, if any US participants are there, you think $20,000. And if Indian participants are there, 20,000 rupees. It's up to you. Okay. Now I put my ATM card and I entered my secret code. Everything is validated. I am trying to withdraw 5,000 rupees or $5,000, whatever it may be. Okay. What piece of code we are going to write? It is going to check, does 5,000 rupees are there in the account? Yes, my account is having 20,000. So 5,000 is there. So we can withdraw. So what we are going to write here, update Mr. Vijay account, set balance is equal to balance minus 5,000, where customer name is equal to Vijay. Okay. Now ultimately my balance becomes 15,000. And this 5,000 rupees will be sent to dispenser. In an ATM, we have a cash dispenser. There is a hardware component is there. A hardware component is there. It is going to count the notes and it is going to dispense the cash from the ATM. It will move the cash from ATM to cash dispenser. There's a cash where we can take the cash, right? That is a dispenser part. assuming that cash dispenser is not working at that time. It is not able to dispense the cash. I put my ATM card, my balance is there, my balance is deducted. My account is having 15,000, but I didn't receive the cash. It's a possible scenario, right, guys? Whatever I'm not, whatever the scenario I'm telling, it's not exaggerating. It's a real fact. Okay, where it is not able to dispense the cash, and I got SMS that 5,000 is deducted from your account. Your latest balance is 12,000, 15,000 only, but I didn't get a cash. Then I'll get immediately in a tension mode. What I need to do here? I'll call the bank. I'll do that something like, and they will research on that. And if they tell me, sir, please don't mind the ATM machine which you are using, there is a problem in the machine. Your 5,000 is gone. Can bankers will tell that? No, right? What exactly we need to do that is, any failure in a software failure or a hardware failure, any failure, you should correct the data automatically. In my case, when cash dispenser is having issue, you need to add back that money. Again, you should get SMS. Your account is credited with 5,000 rupees. You should get a SMS automatically. Maybe after a few seconds or after a few minutes, ultimately your money will be added back. So framework should think, hey, this case is failed. Okay, whatever the database calls are happened in the transaction, that should be reverted. Like update accounts table where Mr. Vijay's account I deducted. Now again I will add 5,000 rupees. Update accounts, set balance is equal to balance plus 5,000, where customer name is equal to Vijay. That kind of rolling back. So framework should take care of that. But in EJB, you need to write manually code. You need to write lot of code. There is no framework precedence. Means support. There is no framework support is there if you want to handle transaction management. For example, in a real-time situation, I have 100 database statements. In 95th statement, I got a failure. I need to roll back all 94 statements. Is it real-time possible if I write a code? It's highly impossible, right? We need to have framework level support in handling the transaction management. That is not there in the case of EJB framework. You don't have any framework level support. Completely developer has to write the code in handling the transaction management. Okay. By default, in case of Spring, it is created a framework called as AOP, which is called as aspect oriented programming. By default, it is created a separate framework for transaction management. It created a separate framework called as AOP, which is called as aspect oriented programming. You no need to write a code for that. Framework internally corrects the data. It will commit the data or it will roll back the data. Framework internally take care of that. You no need to worry about that. So framework level support will be there in case of Spring. It created a separate framework altogether. Okay. Developer no need to worry about that. Altogether, it is going to create a new framework, which is called as AOP. So in a real-time situation, when any web application is concerned, there may be chances that sometimes our systems may failure. Okay, our systems will be failure, and in case of failure, you need to correct the data. To correct the data, we should not write heavy code. By default, framework level support should be there. We should not write heavy code here. By default, framework level support should be there. By default, in Spring, we are having a concept called as AOP, aspect oriented programming concept. Okay, so with AOP is there, you no need to write heavy code altogether. You no need to write heavy code. Framework will take care that automatically. So if you have AOP in place, you no need to write any specific code. Framework will automatically take care of it. That is the second advantages of in real time with respect to transaction management is concerned. Okay. Sir, as of now, anyone has any questions? Maybe I'll take for 5 minutes for questions. Question should be relative to technical questions. What is the course fees? Architecture. Before I proceed further, I'll explain one small example. Okay. In the early days of mobile phones are introduced. In the early days, maybe 10 years back, I think so, right? We have 1 kg phone, 2 kg phones, right? A phone which is having stone weight, like Nokia, 1100 something. I forgot the names. The kg phones, right? Very heavyweight phones, right? At that time, we have chargers. Nokia phone will work with only Nokia charger. Samsung phone will work with only Samsung charger. LG phone only works with LG charger. Correct? Is it a right approach? I am traveling. For example, my entire family, we are traveling. My daddy is having LG phone. My mother is having Samsung phone. I am having Nokia phone. My wife is having MI phone. And my son is having Apple phone. I need to carry 5 chargers. Correct, right? Is it a right way of implementation? No, right? For example, when I'm writing a web application, I will take front-end framework like HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JSP, jQuery, Node.js, AngularJS. These are the different front-end technologies. Middlewares, I can use EJB, I can use Struts framework, I can use REST services, I can use SOAP services, I can use web services like middlewares. In the DAO layer, I can use JDBC, I can use ORM, I can use JPA, I can use event driven queues, lot of things I can use, right? When I'm integrating all these frameworks, a tightly coupled integration. What do you mean by tightly coupled integration? Is today I connected to Oracle database. I write a code to connect to Oracle database. After 2 years, Oracle is increased the license cost. Oracle is increased the license cost. Now my customer is telling, sir, unnecessary Oracle is increasing license cost. Please change to MySQL. It's a open source. Again, I need to rewrite the code because my complete architecture is tightly coupled. It is directly coupled to Oracle database. If I change my database, Again, I need to rework. For example, I am using Angular front end. Tomorrow, I need to shift to React front end. I simply plug and play. I remove Angular, I can keep React. There is no change in the middleware. That is how I want. Tomorrow, I'll change database. No impact on front end, no impact on middleware. You can simply work with database. Okay, 1 second, guys. 1 second. We need to use a tightly coupled architecture. We cannot achieve a loosely coupled architecture. So framework does not have any a solution where you can remove one architecture and you can move to new architecture, where you cannot remove the old framework and you cannot add a new framework. Like that, we don't have such kind of architecture. But in Spring, it is comes with internally. It is going to comes with internally. This is a Spring architecture. You see here, it's a Spring core. I only need IOC. I don't want anything. I can take IOC layer. I can take only transaction management. I'll take AOP. If I'm working with database, I can take JDBC. I can take ORM. I can take XML mapping. I can take JMS or Spring JDBC also I can take. If I want to work with web, I can take website, web application, Spring MVC, Spring servlets, portlets, and struts. Any layer you want to work easily, you can plug and you can easily remove. You no need of complete architectural change. Completely framework is internally giving that kind of flexibility. This is the meaning of a loosely coupled architecture. This is a typically a minimum meaning of a loosely coupled architecture. Okay. So this is the main advantage of loosely coupled architecture. At any point of time, if I want to remove any kind of layer, I can remove that and I can add that, so that it's a very, very easy for me. Okay. Today, I am using Oracle database. Tomorrow, I can change to MySQL. Today, I am using Spring Boot and I can change to some other framework also. Today, I'm using Angular. I can change to React. I can change to Node.js. Today, I'm using Express.js. Node.js as a middleware. I can shift to Spring Boot. Anything I can change, right? Just like our normal interest, right? Today, I want to eat chicken. Tomorrow, my interest will change. I go with mutton. How my mindset will change in a similar way, I want to change the architecture also. So that is how I want my system to be like this. So that is a typical meaning of a tightly coupled architecture. Okay, right. Now, the last but not least, EJB and RMI, the code is very, very difficult. To be really frank, after completion of my graduation, okay, I came to one institute in Amirpet. Like you, how you learn the course, I also went to an institute. I attended for EJB. At the time, EJB was there. I listened to the demo class. 2-3 days, I listened to the demo class, and I got scared. Why I came to IT? Why I selected this IT branch? I should have selected electrical or electronical, some mechanicals or some other branch. This is not really fit for me. To write one, to implement small thing, this much of code I need to write, this much of complexity. I really lost my mindset. I don't know what I need to do. Really, it's a true fact, because I attended a demo for EJB. Then after a few days, immediately I got a .NET. At the same time, .NET Framework 1.1. and it is a very easy for me. And I started my career with .NET. This is a fact. I am not exaggerating. 1 year I worked with .NET. Then after Spring came into picture, and my company is also changed my path to from .NET to Java. Then we came. So typically the development effort for EJB is very difficult. Very few developers are there in the market to write EJB code. Okay. And by default, when you have few developers in the market, EJB projects, and it takes lot of time to develop the project. It takes lot of time to develop the project. So if at all, if you take everyone where easily you can focus on that, then Spring is a lightweight framework. It's a simple Java code. Everyone can easily learn and everywhere can develop the project quickly. So these are the typical advantages over Spring when compared with EJB and RMI. The main typical advantages are, let me repeat for five minutes. The first problem is, whenever you design any web application in old technology, you will get normal problem is poor garbage collection, Java dot long dot out of memory. The reason because the framework is not going to garbage immediately, because framework doesn't have an intelligence where is it a used object or not used object, because unless until developer is writing a ORD service is equal to null, till that time it is not ready for garbage. But whereas Spring is introducing IOC container, which is inversion of control, rather than developer is creating the object, framework is going to create that, and it is using internally dependency injection principle to auto-wire and to get the object. And the advantage of IOC container is framework will create an object, framework will manage this object, framework will destroy the object, framework will completely taken care automatically. And in case of transaction management, framework support is by default, you don't require any framework support. Okay. By default, Spring is used to take the complete framework level support. So you no need to write any code in case of Spring. Okay. By default, framework will automatically take care. If at all, if you want to, it's transaction management, you have a framework level support. Okay. And the third principle is, whenever you are working with external frameworks, okay, you need to have a tightly integration. But if you want to work with any loosely coupled architecture, by default, Spring is very useful to work with loosely coupled architecture. And the development time as well as the difficulty in writing the code with EJB is very difficult, but Spring is very useful to write the code. These are the typical advantages of Spring over the old frameworks. Just I want to emphasize IOC, dependency injection, AOP, loosely coupled architecture, easy of development. These are the four aspects which change the world of Java with Spring. Now, my next point is Spring Boot versus Spring. Now you got some idea on Spring. Now I am going to explain Spring Boot versus Spring. That is in tomorrow's class, which is a very important class for tomorrow. I am going to focus on Spring versus Spring Boot. Okay. Let me repeat, guys. Anyone can join to this course, even though you don't know Spring, even though you don't know JPA or Hibernate, even though you don't know REST services. I'm going to cover these topics also along with my course. Okay. Course duration is 60 to 70 classes. Monday to Saturday, the classes will begin. Monday to Saturday, classes will publish soon. Okay, when the classes will going to start. My humble request is kindly listen demo classes and then you can take a decision. Okay. The agenda for the demo classes is you will get a complete introduction of why Spring Boot, why Spring, why microservices. Complete introduction you are going to get it. Those who didn't join yesterday's class, kindly join to Hangouts group, and you are going to get running notes and everything in the group, and you'll get a YouTube records in sessions also. Those who are not able to join Hangouts group, kindly send a